going to be playing some more ranked draft on Magic Arena. I hope you're all having a wonderful Saturday wherever you're watching from. I'm just going to give a couple of minutes just to let the guys from Discord see notifications and jump on in. Cool, that should be the Discord notification gone, so let's just make sure we're all fine. And if we have some people coming in to watch, we can give this Deckmaster extension a roll as well, see how that goes. Is that working? The hover works on the draft as well, that's quite nice. Does Deckmaster do anything with the... How does this work? Okay, that does work. Cool. Just trying to actually figure out how this Deckmaster extension works. So, it's actually quite cool. So, if I show you all of these cards, give us a couple of minutes to talk about them. It lets you choose the cards. And click on the suggestion that you want to use. So I've clicked on Reaver Ambush because I think it's a card we'll pick, but let's go through and talk about them in a little bit more detail. Silverclad Ferocidons, this thing is large, but it doesn't really achieve a whole lot. 8/5 that sacrifices a permanent, it just ends up making them sacrifice lands. It doesn't achieve a whole lot more than that. Reaver Ambush is an excellent removal spell. In one of my preferred colours. Daring Buccaneer is okay in the Pirates deck, but you need like 10 plus Pirates to make it good, so it is very situational and not a particularly good top deck either. It's just a hill giant, not a hill giant, a Grey Ogre. Shake the Foundations is a reasonable card to be able to push through with your dinosaur stuff, your Dinosaurs Matters cards with Enrage. Raptor Companion, not amazing. Nice filler card. Squire's Devotion is actually a very nice card in most most decks. It goes really nice in the Vampire deck, and in the in the Ascend deck. Crashing Tide is good in Merfolk and the Ascend deck. It's not as good in Blue-Red, just because Blue-Red tends to have slightly more efficient tempo cards. River Darters, just a really medium filler card. Waterknot is quite mana intensive, but it is just a pacifism, but it is a good pacifism. Voracious Vampire is fine in the Vampire tribal, so in white-black, but not amazing. Goblin Trailblazer is one of the better red commons, being able to use Menace to push in damage. Mutiny is really situational removal that is really awkward most of the time, I find. So quite a low pick for me. Jungleborn Pioneer is one of the better green commons. It's a payoff for your Merfolk stuff, being able to use Forerunner of the Heralds to be able to try and tutor that up. But it is just, again, just a 2 bodies for your 3 mana. Gleaming Barrier is good in the Ascend deck, but only in the Ascend deck. Okay, so don't think anyone else has voted at all, so I'm going to pick the Reaver Ambush. I think this is the solid card in the pack. Squire's Devotion, Waterknot are probably my other considerations. Jungleborn Pioneer and Trailblazer are just slightly lower for me, just because of colour preference, so I'm going to pick the Reaver Ambush. So this pack, let's go through these again. We're going to go through this slightly slower just so we can try and get this extension working and see how people like it. So for me, World Shaper, when it attacks, you can put the top 3 cards of your library into the graveyard, and when it dies, you put all lands from your graveyard onto the battlefield tapped. Do not understand the purpose of this card or what it's trying to do, but it is a Merfolk, so I've seen some people play it, but it's really medium. The common Jadecraft Artisan tends to be better, just it's actually giving a creature a buff. Forerunner of the Heralds is the card I was talking about in the previous pack. It's one of your best Merfolk payoffs. So being able to enter the battlefield and tutor up a Merfolk to put on top of your deck to play next turn. And if you find like your Jungleborn Pioneer, it gets 2 Merfolk. Creates another one when it enters. So you actually make your Forerunner a 5/4. So at that point you're getting quite a good rate for it. It also lets you tutor up things like your Lords or any of your rares. Highland Lake, not going to talk too much about that. Fixing is fine, but nothing special. Divine Verdict's kind of clunky and slow, I find, in this one. Not amazing. Moment of Triumph is a reasonable combat trick. Tend to want it in the White-Black Vampires deck. But it's fine. Nothing to shout home about, but it's fine. Crashing Tide we've already discussed. Not massively interested in that here. Secrets to the Golden City is a good payoff for Ascend. You've got a rate of Divination with a very good rate on Ascend of drawing 3 cards instead of 2. You've got Sworn Guardian is a very medium Merfolk filler card. When you need your Merfolk cards, it is just the card you're going to pick, just purely based on that. Waterknot we've already discussed. Recover. Recover is good depending on how many good creatures you have. So if you're talking about having Tetsumoks and Chupacabras, then you want Recovers to be able to repeat those kind of effects. Wouldn't tend to start it. Would always tend to have 1 on the board, but win best of 1, which is what we're doing here. That's slightly less relevant. Vampire Revenant, it's a very clunky body, just being a 3/1. So it's not amazing in that regard. But it is a vampire tribal card, and yeah, it's fine, but nothing massively special. And we have a Bombard. Bombard is excellent removal in red. Absolutely excellent premium removal spell. And then we have Highland Hunt the Weak. Hunt the Weak is the best green removal spell, but it kind of tells you a story about the quality of the green removal, because it isn't that good in the general scheme of things. So we're going to go with the Bombard here. Leave ourselves open. Right, so this one we've got Brass's Bounty. Brass's Bounty doesn't do a whole lot. You can potentially do like combo deck things in standard with it, trying to make lots of treasures for all your lands, but not really a draft kind of card. Blazing Hope doesn't do anything particularly useful in draft. Sun-Crested Pterodon, 2/5 flyer. You can get Vigilance for 5. It's a reasonable card, but nothing special, but kind of goes well in the blue-white flyers and in the Ascend decks, just to be able to push through damage while still being able to block. Sailor of Means, very good card in the Ascend decks. Just being able to block up the ground while making multiple permanents is great. Secrets, again, we've already talked about. Canal Monitor is just a 5/3 for 5, nothing to talk about there. Grasping Scoundrel is fine, but nothing special. It gets outclassed really quickly, so not a high pick for me. We talked about Recover. Fanatical Firebrand's fine, but not exciting. Trailblazer is probably the best card in this pack, between that and Sailor of Means. Just being able to push through damage with this thing is great. And we've talked about the Pioneer and the Glooming Barrier. Let's pick up the Trailblazer here. So, this pack, we have Riverwise Augur, which doesn't do a whole lot. It's got a Brainstorm on a body. Not massively relevant. There aren't too many shuffle effects other than Conquistador, which would be your main one, but that's a lot of effort just to get a couple of cards. Relentless Raptor is a very, very powerful card. 2 mana, 3/3 that always has to attack or block, but it also has Vigilance, so always pushing in damage with that. Sun Sentinel's just a 2/2 Vigilance, nothing special there. We've already talked about Secret Sworn Guardian. We haven't talked about Sun-Colored Raptor. It's not amazing. Having to pump it just about to get through just about anything isn't great, but it does usually trade, which is fine. Armasaur, I don't like this thing. It just doesn't really work with what I want to do with my dinosaurs, because I want my cards that are dealing 1 damage to everything, and it blows up my Saprolings, so it's just kind of an awkward card. Orazka Relic is an awkward card. Don't really understand the point of this one in this format either. You're not really ramping to anything, so that one's kind of weird as well. Strider Harness is fine, and occasionally you'll play it. I think with this one, I'm leaning toward Relentless Raptor. Just don't need to be attached to this Reaver Ambush, but Relentless Raptor is the most powerful card in the pack. Everything else is kind of medium. Mutiny would probably be the next pick if we're trying to stay red, but we can still be white with this Relentless Raptor. This one has a Famished Paladin, so this is a 2 mana 3/3. It doesn't untap my untap step, but it does untap whenever you gain life. So if you have things like your Moment of Triumph, being able to gain some life to untap it, or if you put Squire's Devotion on it, it becomes excellent. Suncrested Pterodon, again, we've already talked about. Deadeye Rigcaller, raid to unsummon any creature is pretty good. It's really good in the blue-red tempo decks. We've talked, I think, about everything else. Frillback, just a 4/2, nothing special there. And Traveler's Amulet for a little bit of fixing. Yeah, there's nothing massively special here. I think I'm leaning toward the Paladin, just because the Pterodon is replaceable. If I'm red-white, I kind of want to be low to the ground. So I'm going to pick the Paladin. It does need other cards to make it work, but if you get them, it's a high payoff card. This one has Pirate's Pillage, which is a very good Ascend payoff card. So it's basically a Tormenting Voice, but you also get to make 2 treasures. So being able to help you hit Ascend. Mistcloaked Herald, being able to... It's just a 1/1. It's a Merfolk card. That's all we need to say on that. Dust Charger is a very good Ascend card. Just being able to play a 4 mana 5/5. 5/5's quite large in the general scheme of things. Swaggering Corsair is the only card we haven't talked about here. It's just a raid. If you've attacked, it gets a 1/1 counter. So it's either a 3 mana 2/2 or a 3 mana 3/3. But it's, again, not anything particularly special. I think I'm leaning toward the Pirate's Pillage here, just because this Corsair is not amazing. The other option would just be to pick the Dusk Charger if we're not gonna play the white cards. I guess Dust. If we're red-black, I'd probably want the Dust Charger more than I want the Pirate's Pillage, regardless. We'll go with the Dust Charger. This one's got a Cleansing Ray, which, as I mentioned in one of the previous drafts, is a really good sideboard card, but we're not playing with sideboards here, so it's kind of irrelevant. Fathom Fleet Border is a 3 mana 3/3, and if you don't have a pirate, you lose 2 life. So it's pretty good on curve. Trailblazer, again, we've talked about, is a nice aggressive card. We've got Shatter, which we're never going to play, and we've got Colossal Dreadmaw, which is the biggest green creature. So with this one, I'm going to pick the Trailblazer because it leaves us the most open. We're likely just going to be playing the red regardless. Fathom Fleet Border kind of pushes us in that direction. We don't need to yet. Trailblazer's still got evasion, so it's a nice one. Right, so we've got Moment of Triumph, Snubhorn Sentry, Dinosaur Hunter, Fathom Fleet Border, all as options here. Stampeding Horncret's actually quite nice in the red-white deck, just to be able to have hasty things to keep pushing damage through with. But again, we haven't kind of committed to anything, but this is kind of the pack where we have to decide where we're going, because I don't really want to pick the Horncrest here. I'd rather be picking either of these, or probably the Snubhorn or Moment of Craving. I want to commit to something. And I think at this point, I'm leaning toward the Fathom Fleet Border, just because we've got the kind of tools for the Pirates deck. We haven't really seen anything to pair with these guys. So I'm going to pick the Fathom Fleet Border, just because it goes better with what we've already got. So this is our opening pack. So Goblin Trailblazers come back, so that's quite nice. I don't think we want the Buccaneer. I'm going to move these 2 white cards to the sideboard for the time being. So we're going to pick another Trailblazer. Highland Lake might be relevant because there are some blue cards we may want to splash. We might want to play Grasping Scoundrel, but it's highly unlikely, but we'll see how aggressive we end up wanting to be. If we have all of them, we may just want to be that aggressive. This one, we have Jade Light Ranger, which for those of you that play Standard, will know that this card is excellent in Standard. It's very, very good, getting you a lot of card advantage out of it, but we're nowhere near green, so not particularly interested in that one. We talked about Blazing Hope. Forerunner of the Legion is your Vampire Tutor card. It rather than giving +1/+1 counters like the Merfolk one, this one just gives your creature +1/+1. So it's not as good, but you're tutoring up vampires rather than merfolk, and the vampires are slightly more flexibility in what they're trying to do. Chupacabra here is what we're going to pick, but we'll go through the rest of the cards anyway. Divine Verdict, we've talked about previously. Luminous Bonds, just solid removal. Just to make sure the creature isn't doing anything. Kitesail Corsair, perfectly good flying creature, flying attacker. It's very, very good. I think it's my pick for best blue common. Dark Inquiry is a Thoughtseize style effect. Erasca Raptor is just a 3/4. Tilnali's Crown has a couple of different plays about it. So you can either play it to make one of your creatures bigger, give it +3/+0, it takes a damage for the turn, and then be able to push in a lot harder, or you can use it as a removal spell to kill their 1 toughness creature. So it has that mode as well, because it's not just enchant your creature, it's enchant any creature. So the amount of times I've used this to kill my opponent's creatures, and they've gone, you can't do that, and it's like, no, I can, just kill your thing. Aggressive Urge gives a creature +1/+1 till end of turn, draws a card. Not amazing, but it's fine. It's like a good 23rd card, just to fill in. We've talked about Dreadmaw. Giltgrove Stalker is probably the best green 2-drop. Is the best green 2-drop. It's got evasion. It's part of the same kind of cycle of your evasive 2-drops in this set. But yeah, it's Chupacabra, and I don't think it's particularly close. So this one, Radiant Destiny, is an Ascend enchantment that gives all your creatures of that type +1/+1, and if you have the City's Blessing, they have Vigilance. So it's a very powerful card, but we're not anywhere near that. Ceratops isn't very good. If it's enraged, you gain some life. We've talked about this one previously. It's a flyer that makes another dinosaur fly. It's not very good. Talked about Divine Verdict. Sky Marcher is a 2/3 flyer for 3. The double white makes it slightly difficult and slightly awkward in some spaces. Solar Rapids is just a hexproof flyer. It's your best place to put your Squire's Devotions on. Impale, we haven't seen yet. It just straight up destroys a creature. That's probably going to be the pick here too. Frilled Death Spitter, 3/2 that if it's enraged it deals 2 to the opponent. So Impale's just solid removal. realistically, we want to be playing probably a Scoundrel on 1, Trailblazer on 2, and then Border on 3, and then or a Bombard on 3, and just keep killing all their things until they just fall over. So this one, we have Mastermind's Acquisition, which is a tutor card that you can either get a card from your library or a card from your sideboard, which is an interesting card, but not one we'll be picking. We have the same 2 uncommons as last time, so we're not going to talk about those. Legion Lieutenant is the Vampire Lord, so all other vampires get +1/+1. Snubhorn Sentry is fine. Dusk Legion Zealot, and when it enters the battlefield, you draw a card and lose a life, so helps you get an extra creature on board while still being able to recycle itself, so it's quite nice. Hardy Veteran's a 2/2 that's a 2/4 on your turn, which it's a really awkwardly placed card because it's kind of your dinosaur card, but it doesn't really fit in the dinosaur deck either, so it's kind of awkward. It's kind of a weird card. I don't really understand the where that fits in with anything. It's a really strangely placed card. Naturalize just destroys an artifact or enchantment. Does what it says in the tin. It's a sideboard card, and again, we're not playing with sideboards, so not massively relevant to us. And then we've already talked about these ones in the previous pack, so we're just going to pick the Dusk Legion Zealot. As much as it's not a pirate, just being able to cycle itself while leaving a body behind does mean that we can continue to push through damage, which is fine. This one has a Tomb Robber, which is a menacing pirate that you can discard cards to explore. It usually gets in for damage, and then being able to turn excess lands into cards is pretty good. Baffling End is a removal spell for creatures with converted mana cost 3 or less, and it replaces them with a dinosaur when this leaves. Everdawn Champion prevents all damage to it. It's just a 2/2. It's not amazing. Martyr at Dusk is similar to these the cycle of 2-drops that I was referring to. When it dies, it makes a 1/1. So it's kind of like Evasion, because depending on how the games play out, you potentially don't want them to have a 1/1. We've got Soul of the Rapids, we've already talked about. Recover, we've already talked about. Brazen Freebooter is a 4-mana 3/3, makes a treasure. It's fine in the decks where you're trying to ramp up with treasures, but it's not amazing in this kind of deck where we're trying to be really aggressive and just kind of kill all their stuff. We've talked about all of these ones. Knight of the Stampede is your dinosaur ramp card that makes all your dinosaurs cost slightly less. This pack's kind of uninspiring. I think it's going to be the Tomb Robber. This is kind of a Tomb Robber deck because there will be points where we just want to throw away Grasping Scoundrels to try and dig to actual spells as well. So I think this is actually going to be quite a nice card in this deck. So this one we have a Cassophodon. When it's dealt damage, you can untap a thing. Cherished Hatchling, when it dies, you can cast a dinosaur with Flash and it can fight something. It's just a 2/1, it's not amazing. Legion Conquistador, so this is your Squadron Hawk ability. So when he enters the battlefield, you can search for any number of cards that are called Legion Conquistador and put them in your hand. So it's a good way to get card advantage. Obviously, it's just a 2/2. But it's a 2/2 that draws maybe 2, 3, 4, 5. I think the most I've ever had was 7. It just draws cards. Like even if you play one on turn 3, you take 6 out your deck and you discard 3, you don't really care because you've already got rid of the bad cards in your deck because you don't want to draw these anyway. So it's kind of like playing like Street Wraith in a modern deck where you're just cycling it just to make the quality of your cards in your deck better. Good evening, Stuart. Deadeye Righauler is we've already talked about. It's gonna unsummon something on attack. Sailor of Means we've talked about. We talked about all of these. It's just another Impale here. Just want to be keeping high on removal and just keep pressuring them. We're going to need to pick up some more creatures in pack 3, but we've certainly got a good suite of removal to help us keep pushing through damage. Flood of Recollection returns an instant or sorcery from your graveyard to your hand. It's not amazing. Sea Legs is a weird card that gives a creature that's a pirate +0/+2 or a non-pirate -2/-0, so it's like a weird combat trick. Dusk Legion Zealot, we've already talked about, we've got one. We've got a Fathom Fleet border as well. I think here I'd rather have the 3/3, just to try and be slightly higher up on the curve with it. We would pick the Dusk Legion Zealot if this wasn't here, but we've got a 3/3, so I'd rather have something slightly bigger. So on that note, this pack is pretty similar to the last one, apart from we just have a Zealot rather than a border, so we'll take that one. I think from this pack I'm going to take the Freebooter, purely because I think that we're going to be, given how the draft's gone, we're going to be heavier in black, so casting Firebrand on turn 1 is going to be more difficult because we're going to have more black sources in our deck than red. So I want to be able to cast this later on, so I don't want to have my red on turn 1, but potentially after 3 or 4 turns I've had an opportunity to draw red mana, so I can cast this one. So another Dusk Charger is fine. Going to put a Canal Monitor in the sideboard. I'm certainly not wanting to play that, but I might have to. And then we're just going to tidy up the last couple of picks here. Another Brazen Freebooter is probably okay. So really just looking for either more kill spells or more like just a little bit more velocity. We've kind of we had a really good start with a lot of good quality removal, and then it's kind of just playing crappy little creatures. So kind of want a little bit more going on with them. Spell Swindle is a massive counter spell that makes treasures equal to the converted mana cost of the thing that you countered. Sign and Storm Tamer is one of the best cards in Standard at the moment in the mono blue deck, but we're obviously not in blue. Hunt Master doesn't do a whole lot for us. It's dinosaurs related. We've got Contract Killing, which is Impale, but it also makes 2 treasures. It costs an extra mana, so it's similar in ways. Unfriendly Fire just deals 4 to anything. We also have a Dreadmaw. We've got a Cutlass though. Pirate's Cutlass is one of these cards that you read and you go, it just gives +2/+1. It's just a free equip. The way the games play out, this card is like the MVP, and seeing as we've got mostly pirates, it's going to be excellent. So it's going to be Pirate's Cutlass the pick here. We've got a Burning Sun's Avatar. This card is pretty ridiculous. It deals 3 damage to an opponent and 3 damage to a creature, so it's just like a removal spell. My only concern is that our mana's a little pushed to be casting triple red, but I think it's better than playing Vanquish the Weak. We've already got quite a lot of removal, and obviously we don't have to play it early. We can just play it when we play it, and it's obviously going to do a job. And I think I need to up the creature count now. What are we up on creatures? We've got 5, 8, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. Okay, we're actually okay on creatures, but we might not want to play all these scoundrels. I'm going to take the Avatar. I think it's better than having access to a Vanquish the Weak. We've already got a Reaver Ambush, which is a very, very similar effect. We've got a couple of Impales on a Chupacabra that are already removal spells and a Bombard, so I think we just want the really powerful card there. This one, we've got a Deadeye Tracker. This card's great. So this allows you to explore by exiling cards from the opponent's graveyard, but it's also just a 1-drop. So it's just, I think it's a significantly better one than Grasping Scoundrel, because it has play early by attacking and then play late by giving us a bit more card advantage. Contract Killing, we've already discussed, is a similar card to Impale that destroys stuff. Fathom Fleet Cutthroat, it kills a creature that's already been dealt damage this turn. So if you're attacking with menacing creatures and you potentially trade with one, then overflow a little bit of damage onto another one, you get to kill the other creature. Or you can like throw away like a Dusk Legion Zealot or a Scoundrel, just attack them into a bigger creature, and then kill it with the Cutthroat. I'm going to pick the Deadeye Tracker here. I really like this card. It gives you a lot of advantage later on in the game. So I'm going to lean on that one. This one, we've got 3 picks here for me. So we've got Freebooter. So this is enters the battlefield. Opponent reveals their hand and you choose a non-creature, non-land from it and exile under Kitesail Freebooter. So they'll get it back when the Freebooter dies. It's just a very good pirate that's got a little bit of evasion, gets in a little bit of damage, but also disrupts their removal, which is basically what we want to do anyway, because the idea of this is that our cards are going to be hard to deal with and hard to answer anyway. Direfleet Hoarder is a 2/1 that dies, it makes a treasure. It's not as good as the freebooter, but it is worth noting. And Mark of the Vampire is another card that we can potentially consider, along with Swashbuckling as well, actually. But Mark of the Vampire gives your creature +2/+2 in lifelink, which just turns racing into a non-event. Swashbuckling gives a creature haste as well, instead of lifelink, which is why the difference in cost there. I think I'm just going to lean on the freebooter here. Gives us an opportunity to disrupt their hand. This one doesn't have a whole lot. Shining Aerosaur, One with the Wind, Pterodon Knight are all very good cards. We're going to pick the Fathom Fleet Firebrand. It's just another pirate. It's got a little bit of game late as well because it's got some fire breathing. Costly Plunder doesn't do a whole lot, and Demolish doesn't do a whole lot. So this one's got the best black common for me, so let's pick up the Sky March Bloodletter. Enters the battlefield and it drains your opponent for 1 life. These other cards don't really do a whole lot, so... This one, Call to the Feast, is one of the best vampire payoffs. Makes 3 tokens, which is pretty ridiculous. Vampire Zeal is also a very good vampire payoff card, so it gives a creature +2/+2, and if it's a vampire, it gets first strike, so it can lead to some pretty big blowouts. Queen's Base Soldier is fine. Queen's Agent's fine. I'm gonna take the Queen's Agent just as a card that we might consider, but I think our deck is pretty solid as it is, so we're likely to just be trimming stuff from here. Anointed Deacon is a very, very good card. It doesn't read as well as it plays. So at the beginning of combat on your turn, you can give a vampire +2/+0 until end of turn. So when you're making lots and lots of little vampires, being able to give one of them +2/+0, making it into a 3/1, just turns it from being into an irrelevant creature into a real creature, and it becomes very difficult to kind of race and deal with. I'm just going to pick this. It doesn't really matter. Like, the cards in this pack aren't doing anything for us, so... Wow, the Contract Killing Wield. Yeah, we'll take that. I'm not particularly interested in a Hijack. It's going to be difficult to cast. We'll take a Jewel Shot, put it in the sideboard. We won't play the Fathom Fleet Cutthroat Wield as well. Wow. Right, we've got some decisions to make. Right, what are we working with? So, let's see what we're at. We're at lots and lots of creatures, so we're just cutting creatures here. So I'm going to cut at least 1 Scoundrel. I think I like all my 3s. Let's move all the... I don't need that one. Let's move all my non-creatures over here just so I can see my curve a little bit better. Freebooters and this is difficult cuts here actually. So I like our Dead Eye Tracker. I think it's good. Maybe I'm just supposed to cut these Scoundrels and just not be quite as aggressive. Yeah, we've got a good middle curve, so we then just need to get to our Burning Sun's Avatar. Cutlass is going to help us as well. Maybe just cut the Zealots. We've still got 5 2-drops. That curve looks fine, doesn't it? Yes, I know I've taken a screenshot. Well done. On we go. Let's see how we get on with this one. Okay, this hand's fine. Like, Dead Eye Tracker early, going to be able to get in a couple points of damage, and then it's going to do something more later on. Dusk Charger is a good follow-up, and I've got a removal spell as well, so... Famished Paladin, sure. So I'm expecting a Squire's Devotion here. No, okay, just a Legion Lieutenant, that's fine. Sure. Take 4 there. That thing's not untapping as it stands, so we can just leave it there. They're going to need to gain some life to do that, so if they gain life, we can bombard it in response. See what they're trying to... Raider's Wake, sure. Let's just kill this Legion Lieutenant. Keep them from attacking us. So this card is whenever, at the beginning of their end step, if they attacked, I have to discard a card. I'd really rather not be doing that, so I'm just going to make sure that we try and stop them from attacking by just killing their stuff. Also, like, this thing I want dead anyway. Like, if they make more vampires, I'm not in a good shape, so... Impale my Dusk Charger, that's rude. Let's eat both your things to explore. Let's leave that on top. Play a Fathom Fleet Border. And pass. So now our guy's a 2-2. It's going to keep growing as the game moves on. I'm going to hold that swamp for the time being. Just so we've got something to discard to this Raider's Wake in case they have something. Hopefully next turn we can just entirely empty our hand. But I'd rather, just in case they've got something, to make sure we don't have to discard cards. So you got a 2-2, sure. I'm just going to leave up the activations of Tracker and Tomb Robber, depending on what they do. So we've got the option of discarding a card to activate Tomb Robber. To discard this and explore. Blocking here also means that if they don't have a trick, that thing's going in the graveyard. If they have a trick, it's going in the graveyard anyway, so that's fine. That thing goes away. I don't think I care about losing this Trailblazer at this point, and I'd rather just get this thing up and explore. Okay, we found a land anyway, so we can discard the land. Let's just hit you for 6. Let's just get you dead. Okay, you have a 3-3. By my count, they're dead, but we've got two creatures with menace, so... yeah, do you have to do something? Okay, you die, sure. Cool, good start, good start. On the play, this one's fine. It's a little clunky, but Cutlass is always going to be good, so he's going to have something to do with excess mana. Bloodletter's a nice one too. Play Fathom Fleet Border. I got 18. Hope everyone's having a good evening. Oh, make my guy sleepy. That's rude. What have you got for this one? This one has to die too, right? Not sure if they're white-black vampires or they're Ascend yet. They've got the Sentry, which leads me to think that it's Ascend, but... Okay, we've got 2 Conquistadors, so it still could be either. Whack him for 3. Play the Bloodletter. So we're up to 6 permanents. We find a land, be 7, 8, 9. So the Dusk Charger. So if we draw a land, Freebooter, then Dusk Charger is going to make that a 5/5. So that'd be kind of cool. A Razka Relic, sure. It's kind of annoying that this thing gets online. We find the land. Let's play out the Freebooter. Just go attack in the air. Line up some blocks for next turn. And then we can lay down the Dusk Chargers. 5/5s are pretty big. And when they're just playing 2/2s, like, I'm okay with it because everything of mine is 3/3 or bigger. So, and then we get to play this Cutlass at some point in time. Probably put it on the Bloodletter and smash them in the air. If they attack with Conquistadors, I'm going to double block one. Sure. If they attempt to find another plane so they can play another Conquistador. Yes. Okay, so they didn't play a Conquistador, so they've got something. I'm just going to attack with this Bloodletter. Interesting. Okay, and we ascend. Sure. Strange decision not to play the Conquistador out there. That showed me one that I played. Oh, it's a different one, is it? Oh, that's funny. So because they've played one from it's an Ixalan one. It's not the one they've already showed me. So that actually had another one in hand already. Don't think I need to play out the Chupacabra yet. We'll get to that point. Get to that at some point, but they need to be doing something a little bit more threatening before I do that. The Snubborn Sentry is certainly not a worthy target at the moment. You're not worthy. I'm just going to start getting aggressive, I think. No, that's not true. They're still not playing the Conquistador out, so they must have something, so... What's whoops? Oh, now you have a flyer. That's rude. Oh, now you're gonna have more flyers. That's even more rude. Why would you do that, opponent? Why would you do that? Opponent. That's fine. So we'll Chupacabra, probably the Sky Marcher, It depends on if they equip the sentry, then we'll Chupacabra the sentry, and then we'll move the Cutlass across the Bud Letter, and we'll get in some damage. I want to do it this way because the Sky Marcher can't trade for this with the Cutlass on, so the one that's behind you. This one. We figured it out. Just... Sure, it doesn't really matter, does it? Jam. Math is for blockers. Well, you want one of them dead. So the moment you're taking lethal, so you need to change your blocks unless you've got some kind of trick that I don't know about. Oh, come on. Okay. Sure, we'll take it. We'll take it. Let's go again. Let's go again. This one's kind of awkward, but I think it's still a keep. Like, Pirate's Cutlass is excellent. We've got a freebooter and we've got a Bombard we can cast with a mana in hand, and we're more swamps than mountains, so when we do find a swamp, we've got another removal spell. Obviously my double black spell off the top, that's how that works. There's a swamp. So hopefully we get to kill something end of turn here. Oh, that's a perfect one to kill. Right. I don't think it matters between these two. I've also got the Impale that can deal with something like hard removal anyway. Play the freebooter. This is my 3/3. That's your 3/2. Just gonna suit up and smash. Suit up and smash. We've got a Reaver Ambush we can cast. If they're just gonna bounce this, I'm fine with that. If they've got another Rig Hauler. But yeah, happy to happy to make these kind of plays. What you got? Bishop of Binding. I want to do this in response because otherwise I'm going to have to pay mana to re-equip the freebooter, and I'd really rather not do that. So smack you again. Play a mountain, play a fleet border, pass. Technically speaking, should have moved the Cutlass across. Don't think it's going to make too much of a difference, but well, yeah, let's cast this one. That one seems good. What do we think? I think that one seemed good. Smash. Sweet. Moving to a quick, what, 3-0? Sweet. This sounds great. 1, 2, 3 removal spell. Burning Sun's Avatar is the most expensive card in our deck, and not the one I was anticipating drawing there, but it'll be reasonable. It'll be reasonable. Cutlass is a great draw. Smack you. Trailblazer still going to be able to get in through a creature. Everyone has to start somewhere, Stuart. Everyone has to start somewhere. Smack for 2. Just want to get another creature down. Then we can either play Cutlass or Bombard next turn. And we get slightly punished by this if they play Sanguine Glorifier, but then again we get to cast Bombard anyway, so... Arterial Flow, yeah, sure. Discard the cards, I'm not casting this game. Go away, smack you for 6. Oh, you got a moment of triumph, brutal. Still smack you for 6. Sure. It's fine. We will survive. If we draw lands, we get to Impale. If we don't draw lands, we get to Cutlass and keep jamming. I really want to find a land. Beautiful. Get off my table. Smack you. Oh no, you killed my creature. How rude. Conquistador. Conquistador is real awkward against my Trailblazer because they're going to be able to find more, and I've only got one more. Okay. Means they do need to trade both their Conquistadors for this guy, though. So just need to find some more. Just need to find some more more relevant spells. We'll get there. We'll get there. Oh, they've got a Bloodletter too. That's gross. Sure, that one's pretty good. I want to do this beforehand, even though I take 2 damage. I want to make sure I get the trade, and then I'm going to make a 5/4. Because if they knew that this was coming, they might have held the Conquistadors to try and trade with this instead. And I didn't want to give them that opportunity. I wanted to leave them without that information. So as much as I had to take 2 damage to do it, I think it was worth concealing that information for 2 damage. And we've got a removal spell now too, so... That smells like a trick, but we will see what happens. If they have a trick, we get to blow them out with a Reaver Ambush anyway, so... I'm ready. Oh dear opponent, that didn't work out for you, did it? Sweet. So, just gonna keep whacking them. That one's kind of awkward because they get 2 creatures out of it. If they don't take this opportunity to block, they're dead. Again, this is the reason. This is the reason that having the opportunity to play stuff post combat is relevant, because the information is massively relevant. So again, I'm not gonna play out this Bloodletter yet because it's gonna be lethal if they let this border through at any point. So they don't care anymore. Cool. Opponent on land 7, you're on 2. Never time to quit. you can always find a way to win a game. Traditionally speaking, Screw will beat Flood if Screw can get out of its Screw. So if you hit, especially unlimited, so if you hit land 3 or 4, then, and your hand is good enough, you're certainly more than capable of winning a game. Doesn't need to be, you don't need to be doing anything massively special to do that, so. Let's play the Fathom Fleet border out. Radiant Destiny is going to be pretty good for them. They're going to be able to make their vampires bigger, I'm assuming. Let's see what they name. I'm assuming it's going to be Vampire. It is Vampire. So, 2 more lands, including a mountain, gets us to Avatar. 1 land gets us to Bombard and Trailblazer, otherwise we get to Chupacabra. That's disgusting. Right, so we're going to Chupacabra one of these. I'm just going to bash in the air. Just damage control. Sure. I'm okay with the double block here, because I'm just gonna need to burn through it anyway. Freebooter means a land lets us cast Burning Sun's Avatar. Would really like them to play a juicy creature for us to kill with this rather than a token, but I will take a token if I need to. Okay, they're just planning on killing all my stuff, so I'm quite happy they're using their premium removals on stuff before I play this out. Just going to take a trade. Or I'll try and take a trade. Sure. So they're going to go up to 20, and I'm going to 17. Land would be great. Land is great. So this thing's obviously massive. Do that and kill that. Attack you. Now we've got a 6/6, so you have to kill the 6/6 too. Champion of Dusk, that one's good as well. You gotta draw a couple cards. Opponent's deck's really sweet here. Might be in some trouble. Squire's Devotion as well. Yikes. Yikes, yikes, yikes. I think I need to try and bait out this block. So they don't take anything here, but we get to use the Cutthroat to kill the champion, so... You can do it, sure. I believe in you. Queen's Agent. Find a land. We'd love it if I found a land. Perfect. It means we can still bombard it. Attack you for 6. We'd really like you to double block. Bombard this one. Don't have a trick. Oh, doesn't have a trick. Oh, that's so good for us. Let's play the Firebrand out. Yikes! Not sure how we've managed to burn through this stuff yet. They got 4/2 flyer. Doesn't achieve a whole lot. Attack everybody. Take 8. Trailblazer, border, go. I think I only lose to Tetzamok here. Sweet. Alright, 5-0. Let's keep the chain going. Trailblazer into border into Cutthroat with an Impale. That seems fine too. So yeah, you can kind of see the style of this deck, just being able to go evasion creature or menace creature, attack with it, make a little bit of progress with it, use a kill spell to get the creatures out the way, play oversized creatures on the curve, just push damage, and then got a couple of good finishers to go over the top with. So I think this deck is pretty good. Never a bad thing. Never a bad thing. Wow, that's really greedy. If I had a Bravado there, they were so dead. Should have definitely main phased that. Ooh, they've got a Forerunner in their green-black deck? Sure. Kill it, hit you for 5. Not really sure what this deck is, but sure, now you're having to kill my stuff. That's excellent. Get to play 2 spells here. They go to 8. We've got 6 power in play. Go. Need multiple creatures here. And we've still got a removal spell left after all that, so... Dusk Charger, sure, that doesn't do anything. That also barely does anything. Impale that one. Smack you for 6. Go ahead. You need to kill all of these. These are still lethal. And just to show you how the Tomb Robber works in this kind of matchup, just means that whenever I draw extra lands, they just get churned away into more spells. Like that. So like that's why Tomb Robber is good in this kind of matchup, because like obviously we've won this one, but it gives you a lot of ways to dig through extra cards. Yeah, their deck seemed like a real mishmash of cards, so not sure what happened in their draft, but that's a 6-0, so let's go for the 7th. Let's go for the 7th. I'm kind of fortunate with this one that this draft format is the one that I put in probably the most effort in, probably in my Magic career, because it was the one that this was the format for the Pro Tour I went to, so having to focus on this one to be able to do the Pro Tour drafting. I think we actually uncovered all of the secrets of the format in our testing, which was really good. Didn't have the desired results as much as we would have liked, but I feel like we didn't disgrace ourselves with the way that we handled ourselves. So I was pretty happy with our demeanour in which we went about things, which was good. Just a shame that we didn't have the results to kind of pair with it. This hand's pretty good. Again, like, we get to just peck a little bit with this Deadeye tracker. It'll be better later on, and we've got a couple of creatures in the meantime, so and a couple of removal spells now too, so we'll see what they've got going on. But if they've got anything scary, we can impale them, and if they don't, then we can cast some other spells. So yeah, don't really care about that thing, so we'll just continue to play out our creatures, and then we'll start killing stuff, and this Deadeye tracker will start to be able to explore, which is its favourite thing to do. Oh, did I? I don't think I did that, did I? Don't think I started the upload of my video from earlier because I got distracted. No, I didn't. Vampire Revenant, sure. Hit me. I dare you. Oh. Let's just impale the flyer and hit for 3. Yeah, sure. You got a 3/3. Moment of Craving is a good one. So we get to impale this one. We'll whack for 3. Going to turn this treasure into an Explorer because they're going to Moment of Craving the Deadeye tracker anyway, so we'd rather get a little bit of value out of it. What's the date today? It's the 2nd of March. Luminous Bonds, that's rude. Assuming this dies in response. Mountain's reasonable. Play another freebooter. Okay, they're not using the Moment of Craving, so that works for us. Got this Reaver Ambush we can use in combat. Exultant Sky Marcher, sure. Take my 2 and like it. Let's just get rid of this bad boy. Hit you for 4. I think this Moment of Craving is going to have to come down now, which means it should have come down earlier. I get to play a Dusk Charger out. It's a 5/5. Oh no, he's got a Chupacabra. Sky Marcher Aspirant as well, sure. Well, I know that one's good. Whack you. Whack you harder. Get him. Get him. Gotta get him. How long has he been sitting on that one? I have one target in my deck for that card. 2 targets, sorry. Everything else is little evasion creatures. Gonna attack, see how they block. Sure, we'll take the 2 for 1. Bloodletter. And Fathom Fleet Cutthroat. Let's get you dead. 7-0, please. 7-0. Oh no, Lifelinkers. Ooh. Put that one there. Attack you. Yes! That was a very quick 7-0, that one. Loving that one. So, we're about to start another draft. So, what you can do, we're going to go through them, go through the picks really slowly, and using the Deck Master widget, you can actually vote for the card that you think I should be drafting, and we'll take into consider that as we do the drafts, which is kind of cool. So you get to have your say on what we're doing. Sword Point Diplomacy, sure. And a Death Gorge Scavenger, sure. Right, ranked draft. Let's go again. Let's go. Okay. So, in Deckmaster, you should be able to see all of the cards. Give me 2 seconds. Yeah, that draft went just about as well as it could have. Just the sheer volume of removal with our powerful creatures just worked out really nicely for us. So yeah, that was pretty much how I drew it up. That was why we were drafting the cards the way we were, and you could see the power from like the Trailblazers just being able to evade blockers most of the time, and be able to push through, which was really good. So yeah, now we're on to another one. So yeah, I'm going to give people an opportunity to read through cards before we talk through stuff, and we will go through this. So the Deck Master widget on your screen, you can click on what card that you think I should be drafting. it'll then come up with a thing that shows you which one you've selected. And that will then come through to my deck master on my computer, and it'll show me the results of what we've done. So obviously there's not too many of us, but it's good to see what you're thinking, and then we can discuss your thinking on the cards as well as mine, and we can assess what we're doing. I think it's a good exercise to be able to discuss pick orders, especially on the fly, and especially with a reasonably small group. I think if it's something that you guys are actually wanting to do and discuss, just pick away, and then we'll call it at some point, and we can run through the cards. So just for clarity, Temple Altasaur. It's a 5 mana 3/4, and if a source would deal damage to another dinosaur you control, prevent all but one of that damage. Majestic Heliopterus. It's the flying 2/2 that can give another dinosaur flying when it attacks. Casophodon. When it's dealt damage, you can untap a permanent. Legion Lieutenant, the Vampire Lord. Martyr of Dusk, 2 mana 2/1. When it dies, create a 1/1 vampire. Raptor Companion. It's a 3/1 for 2. Soul of the Rapids. It's a 3/2 flyer with hexproof. Water Knot. So enchanted creature is tapped and it doesn't untap. Voracious Vampire, 2/2 for 3 with menace, and it gives another vampire a +1/+1 and menace until the end of turn. Fanatical Firebrand, 1/1 with haste. Sack it, tap it to deal 1 damage to anything. Frilled Death Spitter, 3 mana 3/2 in rage. When it's dealt damage, it deals 2 damage to target opponent or planeswalker. Swaggering Corsair, 3 mana 2/2 with raid. Enters battlefield with a +1/+1 counter if you attack this turn. A Jade Baiter, it's a 1 mana 1/1 that puts another counter on another Merfolk. And Traveler's Amulet, which is a 1 mana artifact that you can sack and pay 1 to search your library for a basic land, put it into your hand. Okay, so we have some votes for Majestic Heliopterus. So this one is the 4 mana 2/2 flyer that gives another dinosaur flying. I actually think this is one of the worst cards in the pack, if I'm being honest. It just doesn't, like, as much as it kind of pairs nicely with like things like Colossal Dreadmaw, the fact that it doesn't give your non-dinosaurs flying just means that you're so restrictive in what you're actually doing with it, that it's very difficult to actually make the card good. Like, you need such a volume of good dinosaurs to make it good, and like your good dinosaurs tended to already have flying. So like your I'm trying to think, the 3/4 flyer for 5 in the Ixalan, you've got Pterodon Knights. All your things that you kind of wanted to already give flying have flying. The only things that you don't have are like Colossal Dreadmaws, and it's like, is that really what I want to be doing? Because like you're just playing a 4 mana 2/2 flyer, and that's like not a very good rate. So the card, am I right in thinking it would be hard to draft enough vampires in this set? No, it's really easy to draft enough vampires, because you tend to want to be between 12 and 15 vampires, and most of your vampire cards make multiple vampires. So when you think about it, that we've talked about Call to the Feast in the last draft, where they were making, it's an uncommon, so you don't expect it to show up that often, but it does make 3 tokens. So like you're making multiple tokens. So like a card like this is actually very, very good because you've got multiple cards that are making tokens. So then you're getting more value out of this card than you otherwise would. Same with like this card here. So this is a vampire, and then it dies and turns into another vampire. So just to talk through the considerations that I'm going through. So I'm leaning toward Legion Lieutenant because it has the most upside. It's the best vampire payoff card that's not rare. It's a low to the curve, and I'm not embarrassed to put it in my deck. Majestic Heliopterus is not very good in my opinion. Just always is clunky. It's never doing what you actually want it to do. I think the other cards I'd consider would be Martyr of Dusk and Water Knot. if I wanted to lean on those. But this pack isn't particularly powerful, which is why I thought it was worthwhile discussing. I'd rather pick the Legion Lieutenant, and if I'm in Vampires, then good. But if I'm not missing out on any of these cards. Like, these are all kind of replaceable cards apart from the Legion Lieutenant. If I'm in Vampires, I want this card. If I'm in any other archetype, all the other cards are replaceable, in my opinion. So we're going to go with Legion Lieutenant here. So, second pack. We can go through the same thing here. I've put in my vote for the card I'm picking. So we've got Cherished Hatchling, which is the 2/1. When it dies, you can give your dinosaurs have flash, and when that dinosaur enters the battlefield, it can fight something. Deadeye Brawler is a 2/4 with Death Touch and Ascend, and when it deals damage to a player, if you have the Sitting's Blessing, you draw a card. Woodland Stream is just a green-blue land that enters tapped. Snubborn Sentry is dinosaur with Ascend that becomes a 3/3. Suncrested Pterodon is a 2/5 flyer. So, like, this is the kind of card that I'm talking about from the previous pack. That, like, this is the kind of thing that you want to give flying, but it already has flying, so you don't really need to worry about giving your other things flying. Like your big dinosaurs and stuff, like your the Colossal Dreadmaw. It's got trample. Like, that, it's going to deal so much damage as it is already. Deadeye Rigcaller, good old card. Unsummon on raid. Sworn Guardian, just Merfolk filler. Dust Charger, 3/3, gets +2/+2 with Ascend and City's Blessing. Buccaneer's Bravado, really good combat trick in the red, blue, and red, black decks. Gives a creature +1/+1 first strike, or a pirate +1/+1 and double strike. Swaggering Corsair, 2/2 that raid with a counter. Hardy Veterans, a 2/2 or a 2/4 on your turn. Knight of the Stampede's a 2/4. Traveler's Amulet searches for a land. So this one I don't think is particularly close, and it doesn't, like, there aren't any vampire cards that would signal us towards our first pick. So I'm leaning toward Deadeye Brawler. Deadeye Brawler just is the standout card in this pack. Quite happy to play this in the Ascend deck. It's one of the best Ascend payoffs between that and the Hawk that gets +1/+1 counter every time. So I don't think this one's particularly close, so we'll just go with the Deadeye Brawler. This one looks slightly closer. So we've got Forerunner of the Coalition. This is the Pirate Tutor. So whenever another pirate enters the battlefield under your control, each opponent loses a life. Swift Warden is a 3/3 for 3 with Hexproof, with Flash, and when it enters the battlefield, it gives a Merfolk Hexproof till end of turn. Martyr of Dusk is the 2/1. When it dies, it makes a vampire. Raptor Companion's a 3/1 vanilla. Solar Rapid, 3/2 flying Hexproof for 5. Grasping Scoundrels, a 1-mana 1/1 that's a 2/1 when it attacks. Vampire Revenant, 3/1 flyer for 4. Mutiny, awkward removal spell. Naturalize, destroy an artifact or enchantment. Gleaming Barrier, 0/4 defender that dies, it makes a treasure. Orazka Relic that makes some mana, or you can gain 3 life and draw a card and sack it when you have City's Blessing. And Strider Harness, which gives your creature +1/+1 and haste. This one's far more interesting, I think. I think it's far closer between Forerunner of the Coalition and Martyr of Dusk, and I think it's down to preference. Forerunner tutoring up Deadeye Brawler is pretty much about as good as it gets with that in blue-black. But Martyr of Dusk is like one of the cards you want to go with Legion Lieutenant. I think the pick is still the Forerunner. I think the Forerunner with Deadeye Brawler is stronger, and it leads to not you can still play that if you're like entirely white-black and you just happen to be splashing the Deadeye Brawler with a couple of other pirates in your white-black vampire deck. I think it's pretty straightforward Forerunner here. That's the best pause screen. So this one, we have Oathsworn Vampires, 2/2, enters tapped, and if you gained life, you can cast it from your graveyard. It always enters tapped regardless. Exultant Sky Marcher is a 2/3 for 3 with flying. Moment of Triumph, get +2/+2, gain 2 life. Nothing else particularly interesting, but again, there's nothing for what we're doing. So this one I think is actually quite straightforward as well. Let's give people a second. See what we get. Oh, the cards are in the wrong order for some reason. What has happened? For some reason, my view of this has Exultant Sky Marcher and Moment of Triumph the wrong way around, but this is Exultant Sky Marcher, the pick here. Goes really well with Legion Lieutenant. Like, we're not attached to any of our picks at the moment, but this is the strongest card in the pack. Ties really well with Legion Lieutenant. We can still play Forerunner if we've got a good vampire, a good pirate to go get. So it's just Sky Marcher. I don't think we're going to take too long on this one. I think it's just going to be another Sky Marcher. Dusk Legion Zealot and Martyr of Dusk are definitely considerations, but seeing as we've gone for one Sky Marcher, having a second one just means that we're pushing toward white, and it's going to be... We've already got one, we want more, so it's going to mean our mana's pushed toward it, so it's going to be easier to cast future ones. Okay, fair enough. It's only a couple of cards. The rest has been working, so... Sanguine Glorifier, a good vampire card to go with the rest of the stuff we've got going on. Resplendent Griffin was the card I was referring to earlier. That's a good Ascend payoff card in blue-white. I'm quite content with what we've got going on with our vampire sub-themes, so I would rather stick toward that. So at that point, I would rather pick up Legion Conquistador. Moment of Triumphs will I just kind of want like 1 to 2 tricks, so I'm quite happy to pick these up later. But picking up Conquistador is reasonably early to then be able to prioritize number 2 and number 3 slightly higher up. Is pretty good. So Vampire Revenant is a vampire. Traveler's Amulet is not doing a whole lot here. Recover, we've not got a whole lot worth recovering. Legion Lieutenant's fine, but I'm just going to take the Revenant. Pick up a Traveler's Amulet in case we end up playing the blue. Let's take a Snubhorn. And we'll just tie out the pack. So, at the end of that pack, we've kind of been able to move ourselves to... we're in like a solid white base. Potentially, probably looking at vampires. We've got a lot of decent vampires, so if we can get quite a lot of them, it would be quite nice to be able to be the vampire deck. Obviously, Snubhorn's the only one that isn't, so we'll put that in the sideboard just now, just so we know our vampire count. At the moment, we don't have any removal or anything, so we're just on creatures, but our creature quality is quite high, so not too concerned about that. So this pack. So if we were in blue-black, we didn't have a whole lot. We'd have taken an Impale, and in white-black, I think we're going to do the same. This Impale is easiest pick. Sanguine Glorifier is not doing a whole lot at this point. We'd rather pick up removal. So yeah, Impale is the choice. I'll give people a couple of seconds to read through the cards, see what people vote. I know what my pick for this one is. And the cards are out of sync again, but I don't think this one's particularly close either, but I want to see people's opinions on things. Give another 5 seconds. So, this one is going to be Golden Demise. Golden Demise is one of the most ridiculous cards in this set. The ability just to give everything -2/-2 and clear up a mess is great. But the fact that you can ascend and just do it to your opponent's stuff is ridiculous in Vampires. So Vampires, you tend to ascend quite quickly anyway because you're trying to make tokens, you're trying to go wide. So the ability to do that and make all their stuff small and then just smash in for a heap of damage is great. So yeah, it's Golden Demise out of this one. Moment of Craving would be a close second. Well, not close, but it is the second choice. And then probably Arch would be third out of this pack. Spirewinder is the only other card in another colour that's particularly interesting, but definitely Golden Demise. Ooh, this one's tough now. This one's much more interesting. Let's see what people think. I'm definitely open for debate on this one. That this one is certainly not as close as the other ones. Sorry, it's certainly more close than the other ones. No worries. This is more for your benefit than anyone else's, Stuart. Just so you can kind of get a feel for what we're thinking about with card evaluations. Means that you should hopefully you can try and understand what we're thinking about with picking cards, which will help you improve in the long run. Right, let's give us another 5-10 seconds or so, and then we will pick. I think this pick is very close. Obviously, there are four cards that are contenders between Sky Marcher Aspirant, Exultant Sky Marcher, Legion Conquistador, and Squire's Devotion. And given the cards you've already picked, I think it's tough. Like we have a lot of good choice within this pack. So the cards, actual drafting tends to be far more interesting than actual playing the games with it. But you have to prove that the cards you've picked and the order you've picked them in are correct by actually playing the games and making sure you can win with them. So this one's going to be Squire's Devotion. So the reason behind this would be that it's going to give us multiple abilities. So being able to give so let's use Sky Marcher Aspirant as an example. Let's give our Sky Marcher Aspirant +1/+1 lifelink. It also creates a token. So creating the token leads us towards being able to have more value out of our Legion Lieutenant, have more targets for our Sanguine Glorifiers. It just means that we're doing slightly more with that. It helps us get toward Ascendancy with Golden Demise. Aspirant is fine, but a 2/1 body is not massively relevant, and you need to get to 10 very quickly for this to be good. Sky Marcher, third one's probably a bit of a push. I think Conquistador is the second choice because we've already got one. As soon as you've already got a Conquistador, the other ones go up in value by a lot because you obviously you're not going to run one Conquistador. You want to run multiple. So I think Conquistador would be my second choice just because we've already got one. The second one goes much higher up in my evaluations. And then when there's a third one, it's much higher again. So yeah, this one would be Squire's Devotion for me. So that's what I'm going to pick. This one's slightly interesting. Pride of the Conquerors is Ascend. Creatures you control get +1/+1 until end of turn. If you have the City's Blessing, they get +2/+2 instead. And it's a 2-mana instant. Got another Sky Marcher. There's a Dinosaur Hunter. Those are kind of the only considerations, along with the land. And give people a few seconds to take it all in and decide what they think. I need to decide what I'm doing myself. Mana's definitely tempting, especially given that we've got 2 double white spells and 2 double black spells already. So it's definitely a consideration. That's part of what we've got to figure out here. Is what we're doing with our mana. Yeah, Dino Hunter is just Death Touch for dinosaurs, which is fine. Right, give people another 5 seconds. Okay, so my pick would be Pride of the Conquerors, and that seems to be the consensus vote as well. The Conquerors just goes really well. It's just another way to push through damage. We'll obviously be looking for any number of the Queen's Commissions and Call to the Feast in Pack 3, and we'll prioritise them very, very highly because we've got Legion Lieutenant and we'll have Pride. So we're just looking for any ways to help us make more tokens go slightly wider. So yeah, I feel like we've already got 2 Sky Marchers. Don't really want a third at the moment. We'd rather be we're gonna have a Clunk of Conquistadors as well in theory. So we just need to be cautious of that. And Pride is fine. Pride's excellent. It's gonna be able to overrun. We've already got flyers, which we've got 2 or 3 flyers out. Being able to push through extra damage is excellent. So Pride of the Conquerors is a good one. Okay, here's another one. Let's give people a couple of seconds. I'm going to leave this up on screen, and I'm just going to pop away to the toilet. I'll be back in a second, and I'll let people have a read. Alright, so we have a couple of choices in this one. We have another Pride of Conquerors, which we don't have a whole lot of non-creatures, so it wouldn't be the end of the world. We've got a Forsaken Sanctuary to make our mana slightly better, which is definitely relevant because we have a lot of double white and double black. We have Cleansing Ray, which destroys vampires or enchantments, which is a sideboard card, and we've got to remember we are playing best of ones, so it's not amazing for that. We've got Fathom Fleet Border, which enters the battlefield, you lose 2 life unless you control another pirate, and we're not really pirate based. If we get a good pirate, we can bring the Forerunner into our deck that we've got kicking about in the sideboard. And we've got Scoundrel, which doesn't do a whole lot. So this pick for me is going to be Forsaken Sanctuary. Just really want to make sure that we can actually cast our spells on time. I think that's going to be a really important thing, especially with Sky Marcher and Impale as our kind of key cards. Golden Demise is also a consideration because we need to be able to do that as well. But yeah, Forsaken Sanctuary is excellent to be able to make us cast our spells. It was pretty close between Forsaken Sanctuary and Pride last time. I think now we've picked up a Pride. Picking the land is a good choice. They put his name wrong on there. It's supposed to be Jonas Durio, isn't it? Pride. Second Pride isn't as good because you tend to use Pride as your "this is my I win the game" spell, or I get some profitable trade spell, or profitable stuff in combat. But yeah, I think we just need to be slightly more slightly more proactive with getting our mana online. Make sure that we've got plenty of ability to actually cast our spells. Okie doke. So, we've got Mausoleum Harpy, Flying Ascend, 3/3 for 5. When another creature you control dies, if you have the City's Blessing, put a counter on it. And we've got a Dusk Legion Zealot. Give people a little bit of time to check through these ones, but we will we'll move on quite quickly from this one, and then we'll probably just fly through the rest of the pack. I think this one isn't particularly close. Five seconds. Okay, so I'm going to go with the Dusk Legion Zealot here. Our curve is a little high at the moment, so we need some more 2-drops. It's going to help us hit land drops. This guy gets much better when you've got Pride and Legion Lieutenant, so you have reason to want more creatures in play. So yeah, Dusk Legion Zealot's excellent here. It's exactly what we're looking for. So we'll grab that one. I'm not going to waste too much time with this one. We're going to pick the Voracious Vampire because it's a vampire. And we're just going to move on. Not necessarily going to play it, but we're going to pick it. This one's not particularly good, this pack, so we'll just take a card and move on. No cards on color. We'll take a Dark Inquiry for the potential plays. The other Forsaken Sanctuary came back, which is excellent for us. Keeps our mana online. So yeah, we're looking for some number of Conquistador this pack, otherwise we're going to have to cut this entirely, which I'd really rather not do. But yeah, this is looking okay. Definitely need a Call to the Feast and Queen's Commissions just to make multiple creatures. But other than that, this is looking okay. This pack has Primal Amulet, which doesn't do a whole lot. Mark the Vampire, Prime Blade. Right, I'll give people a few seconds to read through these and make their pick, and then we will talk through the options in a bit more detail. And just to say, this is a very uninspiring pack. We could have had some really nice cards in here, and we don't have any. So we are playing with some weak ones in this pack. Generally speaking, yes, most of them are pretty poor. There's a couple of exceptions. Treasure Map is excellent. Argwell's Bloodfast is excellent, and Search for Azcanta is excellent. I would play all of those in limited. Vance's Blasting Cannon, the red one, I would also play in limited. It's pretty good. But the other ones, the green and Legion's Landing's fine as well. Sorry, but all of the other ones are not great. None of them are outstanding. All of them are just kind of fine and fine plus. So this pack is obviously not ideal by any stretch of the imagination. What are we at? Creature count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So we're quite low on creatures as well. So Desperate Castaways is an option, but not being able to attack without an artifact is kind of awkward. We don't have any artifacts, so it would just be a 2/1, a 2/3 with Defender essentially, which is not particularly what we want. Deadeye Tormentor. It's a pirate. It's gonna discard a card, but doesn't really go with everything else we've got going on. I think the decision is purely between Mark of the Vampire and Prying Blade. Mark of the Vampire just being able to suit up one of our flyers and lifelink it through, similar to the reason we've got Squire's Devotion and we're doing stuff with Squire's Devotion. That is definitely one of the things we're trying to do. Prying Blade. Yeah, Prying Blade just lets us make all of our creatures better. So similar reasons to what we were saying with Legion Lieutenant. So being able to make your little 1/1 life linkers slightly more relevant by just giving them a slightly bigger body. Being able to make treasures as well is fine. Helps us hit some of our potentially double spelling in a turn, which is what we would be looking to try and do. So yeah, I'm leaning toward Prying Blade. That's purely out of personal preference of the way that goes. But I think we're probably more likely to pick one of these up later on than Mark of the Vampire. So I'm going to pick Mark. I'm going to pick Mark just because we've got multiple flyers, we've got multiple ways to deal with it. And we just need to find creatures. We're just going to pick any creatures we can the rest of this pack. This one we have Deadeye Tracker, Legion's Judgment, Contract Killing, Fathom Fleet Cutthroat, Mark of the Vampire. As I say, we're shy of creatures, so we're definitely going to need some more creatures. I'm leaning toward Deadeye Tracker, but let's see what people think. There's definitely still a couple of options here as to what we want to do. So I know, Stuart, you're not the audience for this, but maybe some others are. What are people thinking of Modern Horizons? Modern Horizons is obviously a new set that's coming out that's going to be new cards going straight into Modern, Legacy, and Vintage. So there are new cards, and they're reprinting cards that are currently Legacy and Vintage cards, and they are going into Modern for the first time, and they're bypassing Standard. That's the first time they've ever done that, so that's quite interesting to me. So I'm hoping that some others find it interesting. Modern's always been a little bit awkward for me. I've tended to have quite good results in the format, but I've not particularly enjoyed playing it for multiple different reasons. So I'm hoping that we can. They're going to spice it up, and hopefully there'll be some interesting cards that they print, either brand new cards or reprints from prior to the Modern cutoff. So it'll be interesting to see what they do with that. Okay, let's go to the pick. So, as I say, we are really low on creatures. So I'm leaning heavily toward Deadeye Tracker. We do only have one Impale. What is our creature count? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8, and we have potentially two more on the board. Yeah, it just needs to be Deadeye Tracker. Putting Deadeye Tracker in our deck means that we can add in Forerunner of the Coalition as well, just to be able to try and find it. Adds another creature into our deck as well. This has been quite awkward because we haven't found any vampire cards in here. I'm not going to waste too much time. I don't want the Deadeye Tormentor. Dire Fleet Hoarder is fine, but nothing exciting in that one. Again, not going to waste too much time on this one. Having picked that one up, Dark Nourishment's just a great card. Pterodon Knight and Sunrise Seeker are not where I want to be. So I'm just going to take Dark Nourishment, and we might end up having to play these pirate cards. Queen's Agent is a good one. Good top end card that's still a vampire. Slash of Talons or Sunrise Seeker. I think Sunrise Seeker at this point is fine. Obviously not where we want to be. I'd rather have vampires, but I can't be picky at this point in time. Put a Lurking Chupacabra on the board. Skyblade of the Legion is great. Just need more vampires, need more creatures. I could pick up that Prying Blade we were looking at earlier. Fathom Fleet Cutthroat's another nice one. And we'll just tidy up the closeout of this pack. Okay, let's tidy this up. So, let's put the Forerunner into the deck. Let's put a Strider Harness in as a start, and let's see where we're at. So, not finding any of our really good vampire payoffs there was pretty awkward for us. Really just needed to find any of them and just kind of missed on every single count. So, That was pretty awkward, but I think we've still got a serviceable deck. Don't really want to play this Conquistador if we can avoid it. I would rather just play a Sunrise Seeker. It's not amazing, but I would rather just do that than play a 2/2. As much as it's a vampire, like I just don't want to do that. Our mana is going to be reasonable, so should be okay. It might be that we're supposed to play this Lurking Chupacabra. Nah, I don't think so. If I'd had like another couple of Explore creatures, I'd have maybe done it, but it's not very good, is it? Okay, let's give this a go. Obviously, this is less than ideal, but there's not a whole lot we can do about that now, so. Cool, let's jam onto some games. Thanks everybody for hanging out tonight. Hope you're enjoying your Saturday wherever you are in the world. Hopefully we'll get through this one and maybe get another draft in. We'll see how the time goes. It's what, 10 past 11 local time to me. So yeah, just need to keep that in mind. So Mistcloaked Herald could be awkward, depending on what they have. If they're a heavy Merfolk deck, they could pump this up a couple of times, make it slightly awkward for us. But okay, 2/1 flyer is not the end of the world for us because we've got a Skyblade Legion here, and then we've got a Exultant Sky Marcher. Us having our lifelink spell is going to be pretty good here. We're going to be able to try and race them. If this attacks, I'm not going to block. Okay, that shows us they don't have River Herald's Boon or anything like that, so I'm just going to attack with this. Play out the Sky Marcher. Just get some bigger creatures into play. Path of Discovery is a real nice one. Right, I'm going to suit up the Sky Marcher. And we're just going to start jamming. Jamming in with the Lifelinkers. Let's get in there. Spirewinder, Explorers, gross. At least it's only lands. Just don't want things to get bigger. Just really don't want things to get bigger. Right, so we'll play a Strider Harness. Let's just make this thing bigger. Whack for 4. Obviously our draw's not been ideal. We really would like another black source so we can impale, or just any land so we can Dark Nourishment, but they're going to need an answer to this thing at some point. At the moment they don't seem to have anything, so let's see how it goes. Blue-green tends to just have tempo cards, so it's bounce spells. So at that point it's not the end of the world. Obviously we would lose our lifelink enchantment, but being able to play it again and put the Strider Harness on it and just keep attacking in would be quite good. Spirewinder now being a 3/4 isn't amazing for us, but okay, that's actually not the end of the world now. Let's kill the Spirewinder. Oh, have you got a dive down? Oh, you've got a dive down, that's gross. Yeah, I can't attack now, that's gross. Jade Guardian's going to be real gross as well. Okay, Pirate's Prize is fine. Jade Baiter, sure. So you get to put a counter on a thing and explore. You get another Jade Guardian. That's pretty awkward as well. You're not keeping that one, sure. Down to 20. So we're going to whack with this Sky Marcher. We have to play this to this Dark Nourishment, being able to kill both of these here. If they have another trick, then they have another trick. No, okay. Okay, that worked out quite nicely for us. We got a nice 2-for-1 there. Now they get to play a Jade Guardian, but they've still not got any flyers, so they're going to need a flyer at some point to be able to push through, so they're going to have to just keep bidding stuff until they find one. And that's not a flyer either. But this is a ridiculous amount of value they're getting out of this Path of Discovery. I'm just going to not block. Like, my life total is completely irrelevant here, so... Although if you're going to give me that option to double block this, I'm just going to double block this. Trade off my lifelink token for your creature. Like, my creature on the ground is irrelevant, so... play out a Sunrise Seeker. I can explore 2 opponent. I can do it too. Graveyard, don't need that. I don't need to attack with a Skyblade. Whack you for 4. I'm up at 26. Gulta. Blech. That's large. Don't know if it's good enough, but it's large. Play another Sunrise Seeker. Hoping this is just enough toughness to not need to worry about it. I guess I should keep that just in case they kill this Exultant Sky Marcher. This is an attack with all. That's I've got nothing attack with all attack, right? So I'm going to take 15 here, go to 12. This is the power of Squire's Devotion here in this game too. Yeah, you got tokens, that's fine. Kill you near. Like, you get all the value in the world with your Path of Discovery. Oh, there's another flyer. So yeah, we'd have been dead next turn, but instead we get to kill them, so that works out quite nicely. That'd have been even closer if they didn't have the dive down, so that worked out quite nicely. 1-0. So just as a general comment, obviously my layout is quite basic. I've obviously just got the screen and I've got my face, my wonderful, wonderful face. Is there anything else that you think I should have on the screen somewhere? It's been something I've been thinking about for a while as to what should actually go on the screen. I don't know if I should be putting like records or anything on here. I feel like on some players' screens, having a smaller screen, so like cutting it up so it's not the whole size of the page, takes away from it a little bit. So I'm interested to hear people's thoughts on that, see what I can improve. I'm always open to any kind of comments on how to improve, because I know I am not perfect by any stretch of the imagination with this. I'm definitely new at it and always willing to learn and willing to hear what people have to say about it. So if you have any opinions on it, please feel free to let me know. Certainly once I get to the point where once I get to the point where there's some more people going in talking in chat, I'll bring the chat onto the screen as well, but at the moment there's just not enough, so it just kind of defeats the point. Yeah, we've been planning on putting some stuff on the wall behind me. Not quite sure what we're going to put there yet, though. So yeah, it's definitely the wall and everything behind us. Like, it's the start of the year we moved, as you can probably see over there. My old desk is over there, and I'm now at Colette's desk. which is now going to be our only desk. Once we get around to sorting out the room, that desk's not going to exist anymore, and we'll just have a bed there for guests. So it's just trying to get to the point where we're at with that. John Avon, unstable land. Yeah, I don't know. A lot of people have like panels on the walls and stuff. I know we were talking about getting some more art to go on the wall, which is definitely an option. Definitely one of the things we're going to be considering doing. It's just a matter of when we're going to get around to doing it. We've been quite lazy with sorting out the rest of the house, so I've not been in any kind of real hurry to do anything. So that remains to be true. I'm quite laid back about it. So Golden Demise. Do I just want to kill these two things? Kind of just want to kill their two things. Yeah, let's just kill their two things. I'll take my 2 for 1. Like, it's filtering them through cards as well, where they're discarding lands. I'd really rather they weren't. Yeah, the current score of that's kind of what I was leaning toward. 'Cause you don't actually know what I'm doing, what I'm playing. So maybe that information should be on the screen, and a little bit more info. That's kind of what I'm meaning. Like, I don't know what information is actually good information, because I know that some people like overload their screens with information, and I'm like, I don't want to be that person that just puts so much information in your face that it's difficult. Obviously I would like to get some sponsorship at some point, so if there's anyone out there that would like to sponsor me in any kind of way, feel free to do so, and I can put your image somewhere up in this space. Just as an example, I've got an example of what it would look like, because I've already got it kicking about as an example, so you can see that there. So yeah, you can kind of see what I clicked through that. I should have played a creature. Yeah, I can put advertising links up there. I've already got over there, that way. You can put it over there at some point, and it will go up there once I get some more. At the moment, I only had a couple of links. So we're at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 permanents. I'm just going to attack with a Sunrise Seeker. I think I'm happy enough to trade the Pride of Conquerors for the Sun-Crowned Hunters. Okay, they don't want to make that trade, so that's fine with me. I also have a music ticker, but I actually went away from wanting to put music on my stream because I was worried about monetization, and then YouTube declined my monetization anyway. I'm not going to get tongue-tied when I say that. I'm just going to take my 5 here. I have no need to block there at all. Okay, sure. Yikes, that's going to be large. So what, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 lands. So that's going to be a 10 power thing. That's disgusting. How many permanents have we got? So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, so we've got 10. So if I play the Revenant, give it haste, and they don't block, they die. That seems like a good way to try and do that. So they would take 4. Yeah, they would take lethal. So if they don't block, they die. And if they do block, it works for me as well, because then I don't have to worry about this Raptor. So I'd imagine they'll block the Dusk Legion Zealot here, to which point they'll go to... Oh no, that kills them as well. So the Dusk Legion Zealot's actually irrelevant here. So they are just dead in the air. No, even if I didn't ascend. I can do numbers. It's far too late in the evening for doing numbers. Maths for blockers. Just cast my spells, throw things at your face. Cool, rank up. 2-0. This hand's pretty good. Dusk Legion Zealot's going to help us dig to some more lands. Deadeye Tracker, get us some card advantage later on. Squire's Devotion, Strider Harness, Queen's Agent. Seems pretty good. Daring Buccaneer with a Wily Goblin, sure. So we're going to lead on Dusk Legion Zealot so we can draw cards. Need to try and find lands. Next turn we can actually play Skyblade Legion and Deadeye Tracker, which is pretty good. No blocks, we want our creatures. So we get to play Skyblade Legion and a Deadeye Tracker. I'm going to offer the trade first, actually. If they want to make this trade, I'm okay with this trade. Because I want this Deadeye Tracker to have some more fodder. So making this trade is actually fine. We don't have a whole lot in the way of cards that we need multiple cards for at the moment, so I think that trade's fine. Yeah, they got their treasure out of it, but we got our card, and now we've got a Deadeye Tracker too, so... Excellent, so that's going to then mean that we can do our thing. We can explore with this. So just looking for lands here. Please go away. Come on. So we have another land. Yeah, hit another couple of lands. We get to play this Queen's Agent. That's going to be a pretty big game. Ooh, Sunrise Seeker. That one's good. Would love this to be a 4/4. Okay, land works too, because it means we get to use our Queen's Agent. So, not going to complain too much. I'm not going to block here. As much as they get their raid trigger anyway, so I'd rather try and make a block at some point. Gets this Vigilance, so I get to push in damage as well. And if they spend a removal spell trying to kill this now, it means the Queen's Agent is less likely to die next turn. Which is the one I actually care about. I'd imagine they'll make this block. We got a trick too? No, okay. I don't want the Prying Blade here. So I just need this to not die. Mausoleum Harpy, that's a pretty good one. Is it just when a creature you control dies? Yeah, so... I think I need to do this. This is an easy double block for them, but I think I need to do it. Because otherwise my life's just going to deplete very, very quickly. And then it means we've actually got targets for this Deadeye Tracker too. And hopefully they start attacking with this to try and get me dead, and then I can put the Squire's Devotion on this and suit up the Strider Harness and start bashing in with this. Okay, glad we've got a spare land. Another Wily Goblin, sure. So that's kind of awkward. They've actually got 5 power. Let's start with I should have explored my upkeep thinking about it. Okay, so I just need to try and clear up the ground creatures so I can get the Squire's Devotion in on one of these things and start trying to win with that, I think. So as much as it's making their Mausoleum Harpy bigger, I just need to do this, I think. And then hope to draw to my Impales. That's a strange block. Sure Strike? That's a weird one. That's a really weird one. Not sure why they sequence like that at all, because it's actually detrimental for them to do that. I can't explore, so... Right, this thing's got to have all the things on it. Should have played the Legion Lieutenant before combat, but never mind, we are where we are. This is going to get gangblocked. They should have taken an extra point of damage. This is going to be an 8-8. We're going to be in a little bit of trouble. So I go to 3, assuming they have nothing. What else have you got? I need to explore. Graveyard that one. Draw. That doesn't do it. The 1 point of damage, did it make a difference? I would have put them to 9, 10, so no, it didn't make a difference. And they had nothing. That's really annoying. There was definitely ways to have won that game. That was definitely going to be worth going back to look at and see where I made the mistakes. Oops. This hand's fine. Like, we got a Tracker, got a Revenant. No, it wasn't lethal. My guy Tracker was a 1/1. So I didn't have lethal on board, but the tracker being a 1/1 meant that the 1 point was actually, yeah. So that 1 point I missed the previous turn was actually relevant, because if I played the lieutenant before combat, they'd have taken 1 more damage, and then everything attacking was lethal there. So yeah, it did actually make a difference, that whole play. So that's kind of annoying. Come on, opponent. Thanks everybody for hanging out this evening. It's been good to see so many people. Certainly at a time that I'm not usually streaming. So thank you very much, everyone, for hanging out. Well, if they're going to rope, I'll quite happily take a free win. Wacky for 1. I don't want to put the Squire's Devotion on this thing. Really want another land so I can get one of these bigger creatures down. Wow, that card's bad. Ugh. I may as well equip it, but it's not going to make a difference. There we go. Play out the Revenant. Bounce one of them. Bounce that one, sure. You must have some big stuff going on in there if you're playing River Darter. Some bigger stuff. Soul of the Rapids, that's technically bigger. Technically speaking, it is bigger. I think I'm okay with making this trade. Like, that's just so much mana inefficiency to make that trade, so I'm okay with it. Again, thanks very much everyone for hanging out tonight. Would appreciate it if anyone that isn't currently a follower was to follow me. Still trying to hit that goal of getting to 50 followers so I can be an affiliate, so would greatly appreciate it. Jade Baiter. Yeah, I'm just gonna start hitting me on the ground with these things. No land there's kind of awkward. But I'm just going to put the Squire's Devotion on this and hope that they don't have a Crashing Tide. So I don't think we'd beat a Crashing Tide. Yep, that one's fine. Be interesting to see if they pick up, assuming this is the Jade Bearer. Could have been the Branch Walker if they wanted to filter their draws a little bit more, but this works out quite nicely for us because we're just going to get to impale this. So we're going to take some damage here. Should be attacking with the Branch Walker as well in theory, but that's fine. So yeah, we're just going to impale this River Darter. Hopefully they don't have Dive Down or Spell Pierce. They have Dive Down or Spell Pierce. That's gross. Whack you. Really need some lands. Okay, draw 3. River Herald's Boon. Something else? River Herald's Boon, sure. Sure, so I go to 8. Land would be ideal. So, just to do the math, I would put this up to a 6 power, so I go up to 15. I would then have a blocker, so I would then take 9. And then Dark Nourishment would be lethal. So, let's do this and hope that they don't have any kind of interaction for me. Whack you for 6 points of lifelink. Okay, Dark Nourishment's not quite lethal, but it'll be close. Even if they deal with this, like, maybe they just let the Menacer through, and then we can kill them. Right, so we've got 6, 10, 13, so I'm definitely blocking to play around another River Herald's Boon. So I go to 5. Creature with reach, that's really rude. Why couldn't I find another murder? Right, so I just need to kill the Storm Sculptor, otherwise I die. And then I need to stay back on blocks. I can make this block, and then I can play these things. So I go to 9, then can play double Sky Marcher. Deep-root Waters, yep, that's kind of good. Okay, they didn't have anything else to follow that one up, so... You got counter spells. Oh, you got a counter spell, that's gross. So I go to 4. Ugh. I don't want another Hornswoggle, that would be really gross. Don't think I've got any that I want, no. But I do want to play this out. So they're going to lose a life. So we get to block 3 things to not die. And gives us a draw step. I think we're pretty much dead, but a real shame we didn't find something slightly more cohesive earlier. Ooh. Well, I'm going to play to my outs. Keep the Sky Marcher. Go to 1. Don't know why they didn't attack with everything. Attack with everything was lethal. Yep, doesn't affect the board. Right, removal spell is good. Removal spell is good. Don't care what you get. Yep, sure, that one's very good. Oh. They might forget to block. Chat, they might forget to block. Oh, they remember to block. That's awfully rude. Okay, that was kind of gross. Alright, onwards. So, just need to try and, they've got a few creatures out early, but none of them are particularly exciting, so. Ooh, Golden Demise. So that's 6 permanents. This Golden Demise is going to be great at some point, just need to figure out when. So that's up to 8 permanents, so 9. One more. If we can find one more, then this Gold Demise is good. Just don't want to trade with this Heartstopper. Let's just pass. And then we can Demise next turn, and then we get to push with everything. I guess they might kill something here, but that's not the end of the world. No, still got nothing. Sure. Everdon Champion. More stuff that dies to Golden Demise. Wonderful. Right. Land. Golden Demise. Please go away. All of you. Apart from the Sentry. You can keep your Sentry. Whack. I'll take my 3 for 1. I'll take my 3 for 1s while they're hot. imagine this Legion Lieutenant might be in risk here. No, we've still got nothing. Sure. Just keep playing my stuff out. You gotta deal with something at some point. Sure. Whack. Okay, so that works. Equipments are really, really good in this format. All the creatures are just so kind of medium that when you have a good one, just able to do stuff like that. Like, even like bad equipment, just make your creatures reasonable. And the equip costs aren't that much for how much they're actually giving you. In the general scheme of things. Let's go again. So this is going to be the last draft of the evening. So we'll finish up with this one, and that'll be us. I'll keep this, but it's slightly awkward. Don't really want to trade off for the Deadeye Tracker with this thing. Quite happily make this trade though if they want it. Yeah, funnily enough, they don't. Sanguine Glorifier is going to be pretty good here. Just make another creature slightly bigger. Although now they've played a Sailor, that kind of puts me off that plan. Yeah, let's just kind of pass. Let's just... little holding pattern here until we find some of our better cards. This is like the Deadeye Tracker is one of our better cards, but like the total cards here are pretty poor. We did keep a 5-lander, so I can't complain too much at the general scheme of things, but that thing's going to be quite annoying. I have to find a way to deal with that. 4, 5, 8. So that's probably becoming bigger next turn. Right, I would really like this to get a counter. I don't want it, but yeah, I'll take the counter on there. Counter on there is very good for us. Yikes, that's big. Don't think I can beat that one. Like, put a counter on it, like that's just large, right? And it also has the Sphinx's Rev mode when it attacks. Like, we're not winning this one. We do have Chupacabra in this deck. We need to find Impale pretty quick. How about pretty quick? It like has to be the next card, pretty much. They're gonna draw 3 cards this turn. Yeah. Oh well, it was a good run tonight. Really sweet 7-0 red-black deck. Just a bit unfortunate with the draws in this one. Maybe it was a mulligan, but I don't think our deck is capable of beating this card regardless. So, alright, we'll just call it there. Yeah, I think we were pretty dead to rights there. Okay, well, let's claim our pity booster. We'll crack our pity booster, and we'll do a wrap. Deadeye Tracker, another one, sure. So overall today, we've not done too badly. We've had 2 good 7-0 or 7-win drafts. The red-black deck was super sweet, and because it won't let me do anything on here, let's swing it on over. This deck was superb. Deadeye Tracker, Burning Sun Avatar, even Tomb Robber, all worked really well. Chupacabra is obviously excellent. We had a good removal suite as well. This deck was just superb. Easy 7-0, really easy. Like, none of the games were particularly close either, which was nice. This white-black deck just didn't quite come together when it loads. We didn't quite get all the cards we were needing. Ended up having to play Forerunner of the Coalition with a couple of pirates, just because we just didn't see any of the Vampires Matters cards that we needed to in Pack 3. I think the only ones we saw were Skyblade of the Legion and Queen's Agent. I don't think we saw anything else, which was very unfortunate of us, but that's how that draft format goes, and that's just for people that aren't used to this Rivals draft format. That's exactly what the problem with Merfolk, is that you're so dependent on Pack 3 that it's really difficult to actually pull off a successful Merfolk draft. You have to get really lucky in Pack 3 because that's where all the cards you want are. So yeah, good 2 drafts this evening. I think the going through the pick orders and stuff in a little bit more detail when they're interesting and close is probably quite good. Using Deckmaster to do the voting for that is probably going to be worthwhile doing going forward as well. I could potentially do that on a slightly bigger notice going forward. Can do that a bit more. Give people a little bit more time and notice that we're going to do that, and yeah, we can discuss pick order. I think that's probably a good learning experience both for me, for other people's opinions on stuff, and for you guys to see what my opinions on are, and then we can discuss why I think that the specific pick that we're discussing is better than the other ones, and we can do that. I think that's probably going to be a good thing to do while we're focusing on drafts. So yeah, thank you very much, everyone. It's been really good tonight. Lots of viewers. So yeah, might just try some of these later night ones a bit more often, because we've done quite well with this one. So not bad for just over 2.5 hours. Average viewers is what was it? It was over 4.5, which is pretty good. I haven't had that in a while, so that was good, especially over an extended period of time and doing limited. So yeah, if anyone that's watching hasn't followed me, please give me a follow. It would mean the world to me. I'm trying to hit that magic 50 so I can get affiliate. So yeah, thanks very much everyone for watching, and we will be drafting again some point soon, potentially tomorrow night. We'll see how we get on. But yeah, thanks very much again everyone for watching, and we will catch you next time.